gentlemen, it is time for another episode of Behind the Grind with your one and only host, Simon Romero.
What's up, everybody? It is Monday. You know what day it is. Time for a new episode. So, we have Mr. Sean Santella, as you guys have seen from the advertisements, coming on. He recently announced, I believe it was last week, that he will be taking on Jose Shorty Torres. So it is the battle of the Shorties, Shorty Rock versus Mr. Shorty Torres. So this is going to be amazing. One of the first matches of the Brave CF flyweight tournament. So if you guys are unaware of this tournament, let me clear the air. So some of these guys competing in this Brave tournament, they were former UFC flyweights. But if you guys are unaware, there was at one point talks of the UFC getting rid of this flyweight division. So of course they had to release guys slowly, and some of these guys had some of the brightest futures in the UFC, but unfortunately had a rocky road, so that gave the opportunity to the UFC to say goodbye and head them their papers in the mail, and unfortunately they had to find a new home. So Brave, these guys, they're taking these guys in from all other promotions. 8 men, the best flyweights in the world, are going to be head to head. So besides, it is going to be an amazing fights. I am hyping this one up because I strongly believe I don't even need to hype it up. You guys read the records, 23, 7, and 1. You don't see this guy in the UFC yet? Like, come on, UFC, pick him up. So without further ado, we're going to see this little quick video of Sean Santella, and he is messaging us right now, blowing up the phone. I said I was a little bit busy, but we're ready to go. Mr. Sean Santella.
Shorty rock, shorty rock, shorty rock, shorty rock, shorty rock, shorty rock, shorty.
Mr. Sean Santella, how's it going today, my friends?
It's going good, man. Typical Monday, just trying to get everything in.
Yeah, so your fight was recently announced. I believe it was last week. How have you been doing since then? I know you must be busy, like you mentioned, but what's the schedule been looking like so far?
Yeah, the fight was announced last week. We were negotiating the contract, so I kind of knew a little beforehand. We just weren't allowed to say anything. But then after the contract got signed, we were good to go. Everything's pretty much been the same. I mean, for me, I planned on trying to fight the first time something came up, whether it was Brave or whoever. I was a free agent kind of floating around. So my management was actively seeking.
Hi, I'm Natalie Castillo from Intake Breathing. Finally, there is a solution that can help even the worst of mouth breathers. It's called Intake. And it has already helped thousands, including professional athletes and people just like you, avoid the social pain and suffering.
A fight. I hate sitting around. I haven't fought since September, so I've been a little crazy. So I've been staying ready, so I'm just trying to get back to a normal schedule just because of or the gyms kind of being closed, like classes.
Yeah.
But other than that, I've been still getting my stuff in with my private group of guys. But I love taking classes. I still go to normal classes that are being taught by instructors. So, I try to get that in at least once a day on top of my personal training. So that's the only thing I'm trying to figure out now, because everybody's up and down with the new schedules, opening up, not opening up, Corona, non-Corona, all that stuff.
For sure. So talk to me about this Brave CF matchup. You're going up against another Shorty. Why will Shorty Rock take over the Shorty show, Brave CF, at the first matchup of the tournament, I believe it is?
This is a great matchup. I'm super excited. I was calling for it a while ago when he first got signed to Brave. I actually tried fighting him in Titan, actually, I know he had a couple last minute replacement fights, and I was always trying to jump in on it, and it just never came through. So I just think it's a great matchup. He's got a good name. I think, with him being in the UFC and now fighting at Brave, winning in Brave, he's got a little bit of hype behind him. I know he's one of their commentators. So definitely a tough challenge. I don't think he's my toughest challenge, so far, but I think stylistically, I think it matches up well with me.
For sure.
I'm really excited to get in there and mix it up with him.
Yeah, so talk to me about how preparation has been different. Like you mentioned, gyms were closed, but I'm sure you've been doing your own thing. Have you been specifically training for your opponent quite yet?
Not really. A little bit of game planning now with sparring partners since everything opened back up. But really, it was just a matter of just training and maintaining and just getting in, putting in work. And I've had guys that had fights coming up. There was a couple people in the UFC that had fights that I was helping out. So I was still sparring, still training full time. Now it's just a matter of prepping specifically for Torres, So I feel like his game is kind of like everybody else's that tries to fight me. They want to stand and bang, sprawl and brawl. It's kind of always the same when people fight me. So I don't think it's anything new that I'm going to be really preparing for.
Of course. So I was going through your topology. I saw you're number 1 in all these states. But talking about sprawling and brawling and all that, talk to me about the idea behind your aggressive cuddling strategy.
Yeah, man. I'm trying to be a scrappler. So it's an aggressive cuddler. I get my hands on you. I don't let go, and I'm looking to beat you up, suffocate you, and try to take a limb home, So I'm in your face, just very aggressive. I don't have that, like, laid-back jiu-jitsu style, Like, I'm constantly in your face, scrambling, high pace, whether I'm getting beat up or I'm giving a beating. I don't care. As long as it's a high-paced fight, I'm excited.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure this is going to be your 32nd pro fight, if I'm correct. So that's a lot of fights. Yeah. What have you learned through your 31 previous fights as far as nerves, preparation, that some of these younger fighters don't actually have because they lack of that experience?
I just think that it's just training smarter. A lot of the new generation, they just try to go as hard as they can. And then they end up getting burnt out, or all they want to do is spar 7 days a week. And I was one of those guys when I first started, just because we didn't know any better, So now, after learning and having, higher quality coaches, it's a little different, So I try to let these guys know, you don't have to come in and go balls to the wall sparring every day. That's how you get hurt, and that's how you get burnt out. And, mentally it breaks you down because you can't be perfect every day. And if you're winning every sparring session, then you're in the wrong gym. You don't want to be the top of that food chain every day. You're not going to get any better. So I think that's the biggest thing. And with me now, I've been training smart the last, probably 6 years, just balancing everything out. And I don't think I was really ever a believer in that, like, just, 24/7 sparring. Even when I first started, like, we had 3-4 days of sparring, but it was different. It wasn't just all full MMA sparring. Some days was just boxing, other days was kickboxing, other days was grappling. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So we kind of didn't beat ourselves up. The thing that beat me up was the first half of my career, I had to fight at 35 because 25 didn't exist, But luckily, I had a lot of finishes, and because of my style, I didn't take a lot of damage throughout my years. So I feel like I still have a lot of years left, even though I'm 35. I feel like I still haven't hit my full potential, which is scary, because if I am where I am now and I haven't hit my full potential, then, that's going to be scary for some other people.
So when was it in your career that 25 actually became a division for you and you could actually feel comfortable where you were at?
I want to say
probably a couple years ago, I would imagine.
Yeah, I would say more than a couple years ago. I want to say it was like 2013.
Okay.
Somewhere around 2013, 14 is where they announced the UFC with the flyweight tournament. I think I had 1 or 2 fights before then. It just was hard to get people. you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so when they started getting people and they, really, honestly, if the UFC didn't open up, there probably wouldn't have been a lot of people at 25 even dropping down, because people look at the future and say, hey, where can I, fight? Where's my dream? Everybody's dreams for usually the UFC. And if they only had 35, no one's going to fight at 25, So I think once they announced that, there was more people going for 25, So I think that that's where it really came out. So, but I only had a handful of fights.
So what impacted you when you switched down to 25? Like, what felt better for you? I know obviously the cut must have been a lot lighter on you. You must have felt a little bit better, but like what made the difference?
I mean, I still don't cut for 25, I walk around at like between 32 and 34. So I'm just not big, I think the difference was the people I was fighting were like Aljamain Sterling was my last fight at 35. I think he walked into the cage at like 158, and I walked in at 132 and a half. So that's a big difference, especially in a 5-round title fight. So I mean, I held my own with a lot of guys that did well at 35, but when you hit the top tier, that size advantage does play a role, especially I think for my style. It would slow me down a little bit if I could get somebody that can control the pace a little better, and I wasn't able to use my scrambling and stuff like that. It just wore on me where I had to use a lot of strength. And, giving up 20 pounds was a lot. I still give up probably 10, 15 pounds easily at 25. I'm just able to manage it a little different.
For sure. So you mentioned title fights as well. Well over half of your professional fights, I'm pretty sure, were title fights. So what's that experience is a lot different because you're training for those 5-round fights. How many 5-round fights have you actually been in, like, that went the distance that you can remember anyways?
I think because most of my title fights were at CFFC.
Yeah.
They started out with 5-round title fights. And then, unfortunately, some of the heavyweights had the worst fights ever, and people didn't want to watch it for 5 rounds. So they actually cut it down to 4 rounds with a sudden victory round. Yeah. So for the first, I think I fought 3 times that were 5 rounds. And I fought a couple others that were 4, but I ended up finishing them in the 3rd or the 4th. So I think altogether, I think in title fights going the distance, I'd say around 5.
Okay. And out of how many would you say that was?
Out of how many fights?
Yeah.
And title fights, I think I had probably 12 or 13.
So 5 of the 13 you believe went like the full distance, I guess.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I think 5 did. Yep.
Right on. So like, what did you do for cardio for that? Like, I'm sure you did some things of strength training, but like, what did you mix in there?
Honestly, the training stayed the same. It was just doing more rounds in sparring.
Okay.
Having different guys, and instead of going for say 3 or 4 rounds for a normal fight, we're doing 5 or 6. And then usually you're getting a fresh guy maybe every 2 rounds. So you might see 2 or 3 different looks.
Yeah.
Other than that, everything pretty much stayed the same, like
fair enough.
Strength training stayed the same. Like I said, I'm big on still taking classes. I don't just do private stuff or just do fighter training. Like I faithfully take classes, whether I'm teaching or whether I'm training, and I'm still a student. I still love it. I'm still an instructor, so I'm still taking jiu-jitsu classes. I'm still teaching jiu-jitsu classes. I'm still taking Muay Thai classes. Like, I'm still doing that stuff, so that's a big part of my camps as well as my personal stuff.
Yeah. So going back to that title fight conversation, which one would have been your favorite? I guess, not counting any out, saying they weren't good or anything, but like, what was your favorite title fight that you can think of that comes to mind?
My favorite title fight, I would have to say,
I would imagine it was one. But...
Yeah, it's a lot, but hmm. I'd probably say the one that was the most satisfying was against let's see, Andres, I guess Moreno Carrera, I want to say. Hopefully I didn't butcher his name, but it was 2 fights ago. It was right before the Blaine Shutt fight
Right now.
when I re-won the title.
Okay.
Uh,
That's it.
only because that fight, I think people wrote me off because this kid was coming from a really good jiu-jitsu background and he had really good striking. So I think even the people at CFFC thought like this is probably going to be my toughest matchup. And nothing against him. I pretty much walked through him. I just dominated him. So and I think that surprised a lot of people.
For sure, and that's the thing. You can never what I've noticed anyways, you can never predict the MMA game. There's always something coming up, whether there's someone who's better than another guy, which I find cool because some sports aren't even like that. So it's unique, I guess.
I think a lot of it too is an age thing. A lot of people are putting things on age this day and age, saying, oh well, this person's 35 and he's old. He's fighting a 19-year-old. This guy's gonna come out. He's a killer. It's not always like that. I mean, I think the last 2 out of 3 kids I fought were under 20 years old. And I dominated them. So it doesn't matter how old they are. They could be 18, 19, 20, 21, or they could be 35. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to try to do what I do, the age thing just doesn't really bother me. I don't think that I lost a step anywhere. Again, like I said, I think I still have room to grow, which is scary, I think I have a lot of room to grow. I think I've made it as far as I am now on maybe not even half of my full potential, which, like I said, is scary,
Yeah. All right, so we've seen you in the cage, but outside the cage, there has to be at least one embarrassing moment that comes to mind. Like, what's the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to you?
Most embarrassing thing?
Yeah. How to pick your mind a little.
Yeah, that's a lot of crazy moments. I'm trying to think. It's hard to embarrass me. Remember, you're coming from a kid that for the last 7 years has pink hair. My car is bright pink. It's hard to really embarrass me, So it's not. I gotta really. It's not nothing that's happened anytime recent.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go back and it would actually probably have to be when I was younger, and my dad caught me in the garage with my girlfriend.
Oh boy.
We were like hiding out in my garage, and so you can imagine 13 years old having fun. I think that definitely was it. Was having my parents open the garage door, and I'm playing around with my girlfriend at the time.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I'd have to say that's as far as the embarrassing. Yeah.
All right. So you also mentioned the hair and everything. So talk to me about that. What's the idea behind that? You've had pink hair. You've had all kinds of different hair. Is there something new coming in the works for this fight coming up?
Yeah, I think right now it's back to original. I got rid of the pink. I got rid of the faux hawk. Not saying that I might not bring it back for this fight, but I just wanted a new version, coming out of the pandemic. The pandemic really screwed up my life, like all different ways personally with relationships. My mom got really sick and is still sick. I was supposed to open up my own gym. Unfortunately, the pandemic hit, so that put a halt to that. So I feel as if I was like reborn like a phoenix, you know what I'm saying? Like I really hit rock bottom, and if it wasn't for me being able to train and some of my my close friends opening up their academies for me where I can just personally train by myself, even though there was no classes, I was in a rough place, so I just wanted to kind of get rid of the old and try to rebuild something new, Shorty 2.0. So not saying that I'm gone with the pink right now, always been my favorite color, and I've always kind of rode it out to the fullest. But
Yeah.
as far as the hair and stuff like that, it might kick it back a little, maybe for the fight, you know. But it's been really just again, just kind of trying to refuel everything and rebuild from scratch, you know, just a lot at once. You know, the last 3-4 months has just been crazy, you know. So I'm fortunate that I have this fight to concentrate on, and that I've had you know, people during this time that didn't really abandon me, that stayed by my side, helped me through the rough times, and you know, hopefully moving forward now we're out of it and everything starts clearing up, and you know, my life gets back to being somewhat normal. And you know, we concentrate on this fight and then see what the future brings.
For sure. So back in that the comments you said back there, you kind of spoiled my next question. But I was gonna say, if I could guess your favorite color, I got to pick the next hairdo. But now you told me it's already pink, so I guess we can't.
Easy one. You don't have to phone a friend for that one.
I looked down at the
Second
pink car and everything.
What's the second favorite?
Second favorite. Ooh, that's a tough one. I would say purple, but I'm thinking red. I don't know why. I'm thinking red. No?
Oh,
Man.
just too
What would
much
that be?
pink. Black.
Black. Come on. Well, now I guess we can't pick.
Brightest and the flashiest to the darkest.
For sure. I know. I didn't expect that one. All right. So this is the last one I got for you. We've had you on for a while, so I appreciate it. But pretend that I am the UFC, Bellator, wherever you want to go. I'm that matchmaker for your weight class. Why should I take Mr. Shorty Rock into my division?
I mean, I think I've had this conversation with a couple matchmakers, to be honest with you. I mean, I think my work speaks for itself, you know. I've been one of the top guys, the most consistent guys in the world. Never turned down a fight. I've never missed weight. I can make weight on less than 24 hours notice. I'm always ready. I always, you know, put on a good fight. I have a ton of finishes. Every time that I've been kind of counted out, I've come back and proven why, you know, I still belong here and I'm still relevant. And I train with some of the best guys in the world, 25, 35, 45. And, you know, no one's been able to push me over, you know. So I know where I stand regardless where I am. Brave, UFC, Bellator, you know, all my friends, all my family, all my teammates know where I belong. And I just need a platform, a world platform to show how good I really am, you know. And I've had hiccups in the past, and it is what it is. But you know, I'm in the biggest flyweight tournament that's been out there. I honestly think that this 8-man tournament is bigger than the 4-man tournament the UFC had, because I think that other than really Demetrius in that tournament, who did you really have? Yeah, sure. Benavidez, but you had 2 other guys that are you know? I mean, these guys in this tournament are the top of the food chain with these guys, you know? Even the guys that used to be in the UFC, they all did well in the UFC. Unfortunately, they got cut because they were going to get rid of the division, you know? But Justin Ortiz is probably one of the best fighters out there. I think he goes out there with Smash Figueroa or whatever his name is. You know, I honestly believe that. So unfortunate for Dustin, you know, he kind of got the crap end of the stick when it came to, you know, if you win, you stay in, you lose, you get your papers, because he was on his way to a title fight, you know. Same thing, Zach's friggin' tough, man. Bellator champ, did well, very well in the UFC. He's another one that just got, you know, the crap end of the stick when the UFC didn't know what they were doing with the division, you know. So, and obviously, you know, they obviously got rid of Demetrius, which is like mind blowing, because I think he's the greatest of all time. Not just because that's my weight class, just because he's dominated everybody that you put in front of him. And I think that, you know, in his fights, he did beat Cejudo, you know. I mean, I don't think it was a robbery, but I think he honestly won those fights. So unfortunately, you know. But yeah, man, I'm excited for this. I'm excited for this tournament. I'm excited to stay active. That's my main thing. You know, it's always good to be appreciated in the organization, and I know Brave appreciates me. You know, they were seeking me, and we had good conversations. I liked where everything was going with them. I like what they're doing with the division and how they brought in guys. And I like the fact that they promised that they'd keep me active. And that's what I asked for, man. I don't want to sit around. Like, I want to fight. I want to stay active. I want to fight 4 to 5 times a year if I can. So that's what I'm hoping to get, whether it's the tournament, not the tournament. I just want to fight. That's what I love to do. That's where I find peace, and that's what I'm looking at doing for the end of this year and the beginning of 2021.
Yeah, so I want to give you the opportunity to thank anyone you feel is necessary that's helped you along your super long journey. The floor is all yours.
Well, I definitely want to thank everybody that's helped me out during, obviously, this crazy time, the pandemic, with opening up their gyms when things were closed and just letting me come in and just kind of release some of my negative energy on the mats. My teammates at Pure MMA, Andy and Mikey Main, Toro MMA, Craig and Quinn Hannigan helped me out tremendously in the last 2 years. Let me come there, train, do private lessons, stuff like that. Always my family down at Ricardo Almeida and Nick Catones that have taken me in, letting me teach, be part of the team, be one of the head jiu-jitsu instructors. I call Shortyville, which is kind of like my fan base, so they've stuck with me from the very beginning, fighting as an amateur all the way up until traveling across the world, always supporting me. I love everybody, and I hope you guys enjoy the fight coming up. Hopefully it's at the end of August. I still haven't confirmed the date, but I'll keep everybody informed with how everybody in the United States and worldwide can watch it. So, I can tell you this. I guarantee you that Shorty wins come August. That first round, Shorty's going to win.
Awesome. So we got to hype this up a little more. Let's get you leaving. One message for your opponents coming whenever that date is against your opponent, Shorty Torres.
Man, I mean, I don't have anything negative to say about him. I've trained with him a little bit. He's always been super cool. He's never been disrespectful. Me personally, I don't need to hype up a fight because I love to fight. Like you put a paycheck in front of me, I'm going to fight. I enjoy doing it. I don't like losing. So that's what gives me the motivation to train. I think about myself losing, and it makes me wake up and go to the gym and be that much better every day. So I know he's going to bring it. He's never in a boring fight. I'm never in a boring fight. So there's going to be no loser in this. The fans are going to be the biggest winner, and, my hand's going to be raised at the end, and I'm going to be moving forward. And I'm sure me and him will still be cool after we fight. So I'm excited, and we'll see where it goes.
Perfect. So I appreciate the time, Mr. Shorty Rock. You can head home now. It was awesome having you on, and we'll be talking soon.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Take care.
All right. You too. There you folks had it. Sean Santella. Shorty Rock, like I said, will be facing Shorty Torres, so we are looking forward to that. As he mentioned, there is not yet a date for that when the tournament will begin, but we will keep you updated, especially Mr. Shorty Rock. Stay on his Instagram at srock125. Hit him up. As he mentions, this guy's crazy. Used to fight at 135, weighing in at 134, cut no weight at all. Man, I can't imagine. They had 28, 25 pounds he mentioned. I couldn't do that, I know that, but he is a fighter. He knows what he's doing. Cut down to 125. Said he feels better. So we're looking back for that return. Said he hasn't been in there since September. So we're excited. We're hoping you guys are excited. But number one, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Subscribe. Alright? Number two, like these videos. Number three, hit those comments. Tell us what you want to see more. Tell us how much you love the video. And number four, share this with your fellow friends, grandparents, grandmas, brothers and sisters, great-great-grandmas. Get them all to see this video. We appreciate your support. And we hope to see you guys on the next episode when we catch up with Mr. Justin James, the Guitar Hero, which is a very interesting one as well. But you will miss it if you don't subscribe. So go ahead, subscribe to the channel. We'll be seeing you on the next week's episode on Monday. Like always, Justin James. But right now, the spotlight on Mr. Santella. Hope you enjoyed. Until next time.